These are the 5 best wins of the Essendon Football Club in the life of my guest, the CEO of Footyology, the man who has just been part of discussion of football for pretty much my entire life. Sorry to make you feel old, Rocco. Rohan Connolly, who's with me. He's a long-suffering Essendon fan, as a lot of them are. But this is for happy times. What's your favourite? Like, if I was allowing finals in this, because by the way, no finals. Don't even start commenting the '93 grand final or the 2000 grand final. I just want home and away ones. But if you're allowed one final, which is your favourite?
Oh, no doubt. '93 preliminary final against Adelaide.
Oh, nice.
42 points down at half time. Blistering comeback in the third quarter. Darren Buick kicks 6 goals. Timmy Watson in his comeback year kicks the sealer. Some funny stories about that one. If you listen to Adelaide, they lost that one because of a fart. The story being that at half time they're 7 goals up and they're just about to run out again, and all the players are gathered up ready to get some motivational words. And I think it was Mark Bickley. He'd had a few too many amino acids and wet rip. And apparently it just completely destroyed the mood, and they were sitting ducks. Adelaide will tell you it's a true story. I think it had more to do with Essendon turning it around.
I think so as well. But anyway, these are home and away ones, so let's get into it. Number 5.
All right, number 5. Look, Essendon Collingwood Anzac Day, we all know it doesn't get a lot bigger than that. I've been to all of them, 30 of them now.
All right, I'm just going to guess. I reckon I know what every Essendon fan's favourite one is. I'm just going to give you 4 syllables.
Yeah.
Zaharakis.
No, but you've got to say, Zaharakis! Well, incredible. Just incredible out of the blue. It was a really good game, back and forth.
Agreed.
Collingwood really had the edge in that last quarter. I mean, it's not the only reason I love this, but I did have a sort of professional involvement with this one. I was covering it for The Age, but I was also lucky enough to be one of the judges for the Anzac Medal.
Oh, nice. That's pretty exciting.
I think back in 2009 they only had 3 of them. So I took my duties fairly seriously, but Collingwood got on top. They were 14 points, I remember this, so 14 points up at the 28-minute mark of the last quarter.
Yes.
So Patrick Keane from the AFL's come around to collect our votes. I thought, yeah, okay, I can go now. So I'm struggling to remember who I gave the 1 to, but I gave 2 votes to Paddy Ryder, who had to go into the ruck that day because David Hill went down
and played one of probably the best game of his life.
What was
amazing
a career-turning game for
Yes.
him, and he was on fire. But Dane Swan, just prolific possession winner. He was the architect of Collingwood's apparent victory, so I gave him the 3. Patrick Keane taps me on the shoulder. I hand him the votes and sort of half-jokingly say to him, hey, if my mob gets up, switch Ryder and Swan. You know, ha, ha, ha. As I hand him the bit of paper, Leroy Jetta sort of stumbles onto a loose ball in the forward pocket, dribbles one through. It's back to 8 points, so no need to worry. It's a 30-minute mark.
Yeah, we can't win from here, no way.
So I'm getting my thoughts together, getting ready to go to the press conferences. Someone, a Collingwood player, I think it was Leon Davis, hacked a ball sort of out of bounds on the full.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Dyson gets the ball on the junction of the arc and the boundary. Tough shot, but Ricky's a left footer, so I must say at that stage I thought he might be half a chance here. Anyway, kick of his life, goes straight through. Back to 2 points. Hello. And by now we're up to the 31, 32 minute mark. I thought, oh no, we're going to lose by a kick again. It's going to be
pouring rain. It's cinematic. It's brilliant.
Ball comes out to Leroy Jetta, who can run into an open goal. He fumbles it. Oh. It gets rushed through for a point, and I thought, oh God, that was the what if.
That's right. Because that was a really gettable goal.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Right.
No, it was really wet, and he fumbled, and Heritia Lumumba, who I think was still Harry O'Brien at that stage, rushes the ball through. I thought, oh, that's it. Probably poetic justice. Kick in, spoil. Nathan Lovett Murray, little chip pass with his right foot to Zaharakis, playing his, I think, 3rd game.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
He, for whatever reason, decides to play on. I thought, what are you doing? But I'm trying to remember who the Collingwood player was, but he basically got bumped into line. Like the bump sort of straightened his kick up, and it just never looked like missing. Right through the middle of it. I've gone ballistic in the press box. Goes back to the middle, the bounce. Siren literally goes a second later, one for the ages, and a little bit of embarrassment ensued when they read out the votes for the Anzac medal, and the winner is Paddy Ryder by one vote from Dane Swan.
Because you swapped it.
Every time I say Swanee, I apologise for costing him the '09 Anzac medal, but it's not like he didn't have other medals he would win subsequently.
Did you know that was Zaharakis' first goal?
No, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Well, there you go.
Isn't that brilliant?
A great moment.
Number 4.
All right, well, this one goes back to 1992, and fair to say, Essendon playing Melbourne at the MCG on Anzac Day. So it was before Anzac Day was a thing. It was just
before you guys monopolised it.
Correct,
The rest of the clubs used to get a turn.
So it was just a normal Saturday of football, albeit on a public holiday. Anyway, Melbourne were pretty reasonable in the early 90s. Essendon were very up and down. Anyway, had a bad one this day. Melbourne well in front all day. And I don't know why I remember this detail, but I do. Chris Sullivan, son of former Demon Tony Sullivan, kicks a goal 5 minutes into the last quarter to put Melbourne 47 points in front. 47 points.
I mean, we know the ending because this is best win, so I'm so excited now.
Well, after not looking like it the entire day, Essendon just got on a roll, and it was basically two guys, Paul Salmon up front, just dragging him in, but the perhaps surprising form of Peter Somerville, the Essendon ruckman of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
Nothing remarkable about Summer, but he started, and they were switching between the ruck and forward, and they were just alternating. One was winning the hit-outs, kicking it down there, the other one was taking the grabs. And so 47 points becomes 41, becomes 6 goals, becomes 5 goals. The other extraordinary element of this, if you ever watch it on YouTube, and it is on YouTube, is that this game, believe it or not, it sounds weird now, but it wasn't being covered on TV.
Oh.
There was only 3 games being covered there. No pay TV. Channel 7 did 3 games.
Yep.
The rest all had like a single camera coverage for the benefit of the clubs mainly. So what happened was it was being covered, the only radio station covering it was K-Rock. So after this win, Essendon put out a video which went gangbusters, which was a single camera coverage of the game with the commentary provided by Ted the late great Teddy Whitten from K-Rock, Brian Brushfield and Peter LeGrand. Anyway, so Essendon just gets closer and closer and closer. Finally, Gavin Wanganeen in his second season takes a mark on the 50. You're thinking, oh, he's too far out. He kicks it. Essendon is 1 point in front. By now it's 32, 33 minutes gone. Melbourne had one last chance to save the day. I think it might have been Stephen Tingay kicks it a goal. Looks like it's going through. Derek Kickett, who was a bit of a hero to me. And then he had an amazing season and basically held Essendon up himself that whole year. He's run with the flight of the ball, smashed himself against the goalpost, but taken the mark to save not only a loss but stop it from being a draw. Marks on the goal line, picks himself up, unwraps himself from the goalpost, clears the ball, siren goes, Essendon win. It was the most phenomenal comeback. In fact, statistically, from that late in the game, I think it might be second best comeback of all time. Incredible. It is on YouTube, so obviously check it out. Just amazing comeback.
Number 3.
All right, this is a favourite childhood memory. So 1981, very special year for Essendon. Kevin Sheedy's first year as coach. Years and years of mediocrity are being swept away in this incredible string of Essendon victories. And
how many years of mediocrity? Like 10?
Oh, at least. Made the finals 72, 73, stumbled in 79, but very fleeting. So 81 didn't start well. They lost 5 of their first 6 games.
Oof.
But all of a sudden got on this winning roll and the confidence just grew and grew. Anyway, by this stage, they'd end up winning 16 games in a row, but this was win number 15. So it's round 21 of a 22-round season, and Carlton on top of the ladder, but Essendon coming really hard. And it was sort of it was built up as a potential grand final preview at Princes Park.
Oh, brilliant. Enemy territory.
Packed to the rafters. The great old days of suburban footy, Danny. It was an amazing day. It was such a big build-up. Anyway, for most of it, it felt like, Carlton has their measure. You know, the seasoned pros against the precocious up-and-comers. Gets to the 20-minute mark of the last quarter. Jimmy Buckley, that Carlton veteran, has let loose with a torpedo from the centre square. It's just gone and gone and gone. We were standing behind the goals, almost hit my mate in the head, actually. It's gone through. We go, well, that's us done. 26 points down at the 20-minute mark. I go, come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's go to the Great Northern.
My mate, we were 16.
Oh, okay. Let's sneak into the Great Northern.
That didn't stop us. My two mates had gone, look, it's too late, don't bother. And I sort of went in, I relented and went, okay, well, thank God I did. About a minute later, goes down the Essendon end, and Roger Merritt, who was still a bit of a journeyman, not journeyman, but he wasn't that good, let's be honest, comes across in front of Brisbane. Takes a mark, puts Essendon back to within about 3 kicks. Goes down there again. Paul Vanderhaar now floats in from the side of the pack, kicks another one. It's back to a couple of goals. Neil Danaher, who'd had a fantastic season, geez, he was a great player at half-back, has been thrown forward in desperation. Ball goes forward again, sort of floating across the pack, holds a mark, bang, kicks a goal. All of a sudden, it's up to about the 33-minute mark, and Carlton supporters are just dumbfounded. What's happening here? We're scarcely able to believe what's happening in front of our eyes. And I thought, no, Carlton will hang on, they'll hang on. Goes back to the centre square, very muddy ground too, been a fair bit of rain. Hacked out of the centre square, I think it was Glenn Hawker, this tumbling punt. Neil Danaher finds himself in front, whoever's behind him, might have even been Bristol, slipped over. Danaher marks it. The funny thing with the commentary of this game too is that Lou Richards is doing the game with Peter Landy, who I think had to leave to go back and do the news.
Oh, what?
Lou had to do like the last 5 minutes on his own, and he's just about out of breath at the end of it. Anyway, Neil Danaher, at the 33-minute mark or whatever, puts it through again. Essendon's up by a point, goes back to the centre, hacked out towards the boundary. Siren goes. Essendon has done it against all odds after being 26 points down, 20-minute mark. And what the other funny thing about this is, if you see it on YouTube, there's a guy, there's a big blue in the crowd, and you see this guy being led out by the cops with his shirt ripped off, his shirt.
Who ripped your shirt, Roker?
Wasn't it? Blood all over his face. Anyway, I only found this out subsequently, of course, but when the siren went, we've won. We're tearing across the ground down towards to hang it on the Carlton Social Club with their flags and everything. I turn around, this guy with blood all over his face and shirtless is running along next to me going, yay!
So he's broken loose from the cops.
Yes! So it was that sort of day. And I can remember we were walking down the middle of Royal Parade waving our flags. We thought we are going to win the fairy tale flag of all time. Of course we didn't. We won the next week, lost the last game, and were knocked out in an elimination final, as per usual. So it ended in tears, but there was that brief moment where we thought anything was possible.
Yes.
Then.
Well, you still won. You won a flag, what, 3 years later?
3 years later. It's a long wait when you're a teenager, though.
It's a long wait when you're an Essendon fan.
That's true.
Number 2, best win for the Essendon Football Club in the life of Rohan Connolly.
Well, this is statistically the greatest comeback in football history, and it's Essendon North Melbourne late in the 2001 season. Of course, Bombers had won in 2000. Still pretty good. Still seen as the side to beat 2001. Not this day, though. North Melbourne, who were pretty good themselves.
They were great.
Won the flag,
they still had Carey and Archer, and the best they've been in my life.
Well, the thing is, Carey didn't play this day, which made their performance even more meritorious. And they just came out absolutely pumped up, Essendon a bit flat, and they just gave it to us. And by the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, 69 points in front after a goal from Matthew Spider Burton, the big gangly ruckman, snaps one from the pocket. 69 points. It was. I remember covering the game for the Age in the press box. We're sort of laughing about it. Wow, they're having an off day. You know, they're sort of absolutely checked out. Anyway, wouldn't you know, when they walk off the ground for half time, about 20 minutes later, the margin is 22 points because Essendon just went bang, 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 bang. out of the middle, Jason Johnson playing the game of his life. Joe Mercedes just getting 500 possessions. Mark McCurry kicking him from everywhere. Gary Moorcroft, David Cowthorpe, Matthew Lloyd, James Hurd going berserk. They just suddenly switched on, and they did it so easily that by half time, 22 points, the contest is on again. And I remember at half time just thinking, it's like we've just seen a whole game and a half.
Yeah.
But what we proceeded to see in the third and fourth quarter was just neck and neck, back
brilliant.
and forth.
Yep.
High octane footy, really high scoring footy too. It's just such a joy to watch. And Essendon got, I think, 3 goals up late in the piece. North came back again and was still a chance. And then finally, it was wrapped up by Blake Carosella. I think Hurdy won a ball out in the members' wing. Got it forward to Carosella, who sort of ran into an open goal. And a good colleague of mine, Paul Goff, who was in the press box with me that day, constantly reminds me of the hula dance I apparently did after Carosella ran into the open goal. Well, exceptional circumstances.
Absolutely.
Not often you come back from 69 points down. So I must say, it was an incredible story to write after it happened.
Well done getting words out. I would have just been all caps. Ah!
It was a bit like that. But one of the great days of my life, capped off in suitable style by I had a gig to go to that evening. So I finished my work at the MCG, put my stuff in my car and walked down Swan Street to the Corner Hotel, where I watched one of my all-time favourite bands, the Mark of Cain, play one of the greatest blistering sets of rock and roll ever played in the history of Melbourne gigs. And I remember at one stage late in the gig, as they came on for the second encore, and I'm cleaning out my ears, turning to the guy I was with and saying, I think this is the greatest day of my life. And it may well have been.
Well, after a win like that, I dare say you could go to a Wiggles concert and think it's the best thing ever.
Anything would have been suffice that night. It was a great day.
And the best win that Rohan Connolly has ever seen for the Essendon Footy Club.
Well, just an incredible game. They call it the Ablett v Salmon game.
Oh, yeah. Good
1993, round 6 at the MCG, and just incredible game. Probably the second best game of footy I've ever seen. End to end, high scoring. Up one end, Paul Salmon. Maybe the only time in footy history a guy's kicked 10 goals in a game and been completely and utterly overshadowed, and that's because Gary Ablett kicked 14 goals at the other end in a losing side. Can you believe that? And it was just, in the end, Essendon got over the line thanks to a couple of guys, Joe Mercedes, one of them, but Steve Alessio, who was a bit of an unknown at that stage, came on and kicked the 2 crucial goals. Essendon ended up winning this game by 4 goals. Gary Ablett, though, 14-7 that day.
14-7.
Took on and beat Chris Danaher, Derek Kickett, James Hurd, Mark Harvey, I think were his 4 opponents.
Wow.
Fair to say no one could hold a candle to him. But incredible game of footy, incredible result. And I think at that moment, with the Baby Bombers, who would go on and famously win the flag, we all sort of thought, wow, this team has a pretty good upside. I think they might be going somewhere, this side. The other funny story I have to tell with this is that Gary Ablett wrote a very short-lived column for the Sunday Age.
Did he write it?
And this was the first week he did it. So he came into the Sunday Age office on the Friday. I had to sit down and ghost it with him. He didn't want to talk about himself. He didn't want to talk about his teammates. In the end, in desperation, we talked about Brisbane because they'd gone and played Brisbane the week before. I ran a few players past him. Chris Scott, Nathan Buckley, wrapped them up. And then I said, oh, what about Nathan Chapman? He was like their first draft pick. And he goes, no, sorry, Rohan, who are you talking about there? And I go, well, actually, Gary, you played the entire 4 quarters on Nathan Chapman. So it gives you a bit of an idea how it was like extracting teeth, getting words out of him. We got there in the end, though. Literally the next day, it was probably the frustration of having to do something with me for 2 hours. He goes out and unleashes on the Bombers and kicks 14. The office rings me and says, we've got to get words from him. He's our columnist. And I go, okay, I'll try. So I go to the rooms. I had to hang around and wait for about half an hour. He was notoriously slow at everything he did off the field, Gazza. So I'm standing there. Finally he comes out and he goes, Rohan, what are you doing here? I said, Gary, mate, you've just... Malcolm Blythe just said this is the greatest individual performance of all time. The office, they desperately need some words. He's, Look, I don't really want to talk about it, mate. Just say I'm disappointed we lost. Okay, thanks, Gaz. Fair to say the office wasn't too impressed. The other funny side of this was he, halfway through writing the column the day before, went to the grotty little milk bar over the road and bought a salad sandwich. Well, they tripled their custom for the rest of the year because the guy hung this poster in the window the next day saying, on Friday he ate here, on Saturday he did this. Wow. So it was a great selling point for them.
What was in the sandwich?
It was a salad sandwich, but no cheese, no tomato. So I've often thought, what did that be? Lettuce, beetroot, onion.
Carrot.
Pretty unappealing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, though, I'm sure if a lot of junior footballers got wind of it, they got their mums to make that for before every game they played. Anyway, I'd like to think it was the perfect preparation. Incredible game of footy to watch, freely available on YouTube, and 14 goals in a losing side. Salmon, 10 goals, never rates a mention, and Fish is still dirty on it.
That's Roko's list. Do you agree, Bombers fans? What's he got right? What's he got wrong? Let us know in the comments, or you could hit him up at Twitter, where he's always loving to argue with people who disagree with him. But also, Footyology. Get on there. Become a Patreon. What perks do you get in your Patreon?
Not a lot.
Okay, sweet. We'll do it anyway.
You get the benefit of knowing that I get to feed my kids and keep a couple of people employed.